Is the tech all figured out? Oh, we are. No, we're not.
Hey Scott, before you start, do you want him to want me to hit reclaim host?
Sorry?
Do you want me to hit reclaim host?
You don't have to.
Okay.
And I think we're live, yes? Thank you. All right, welcome everybody to the Police and Fire Commission meeting of the City of Fitchburg on February 16th, 2022. Call to order the meeting, and the first order of business is to approve the minutes from last month, from January 19th. Any of the commissioners have any questions or thoughts in regards to the minutes?
I will move to approve the minutes as proposed.
And a second?
Second.
We got 2 seconds, very good. All right, all in favor of approving the minutes, raise your hand and say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Very good. Next order of business is public appearances for non-agenda items. And nope, we don't have anybody, very good. Next item up is the report from the police department. Chief?
Okay, we'll start off with the staffing report. We're currently down one officer and one lieutenant position that we'll be talking about later in closed session. That's going to open up two, if things get confirmed here today, that'll open us up to 2 openings. As far as call-ins, and this is more so for some of the questions that I have with Commissioner Amble, but I do have the numbers. In January of 2022, we had 43 orderings an average of length of 2.5 hours. Number of orderings per current unfilled patrol positions is 5.3. Police staffing availability was 78%, 22% unavailable. Some of those incidents that created the call-ins were in service and some early January COVID exposures. Compared to 2021, there were a total of 12 orderings, average of length of 3 hours. Number of orderings per unfilled patrol positions was 2.4. Patrol staffing availability was 85% and 15% unavailable. Significant against back then were in service for the month of January in 2021. I did a little research on this piece. Because it was something that was being asked, and I didn't really understand why it was being asked until I spoke with Commissioner Amble. Some of the strains, and there's some pros and there's some cons. Some of the pros is we run a hybrid shift of 10.5 hours on for 4 days, and then you get 4 days off. That is a great incentive for hiring. And in law enforcement, there is a huge strain in hiring. If you read some of the articles in the news or some of the recruitment material, cities like Madison, smaller cities like Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, they're actually providing educational incentives to get more enrollment. Here in Fitchburg, we're using a hybrid schedule that will be an incentive saying I can come work several hours, but now I can really schedule some off time for myself and the family, which many departments don't do. Those are good things, but what those also create is staffing levels where now if somebody calls in sick or you have in-service or you have other things, you're straining your staffing levels where you have to use orderings. So it's a balance in that position, in that capability. We need to provide some type of incentives, and we'll continue to work with Sarah, the city, and the police union to identify ways or things that we can attract. Not only good recruitment, but retaining that recruitment that we do have. Historically, from what I'm learning, is officers from Fitchburg tend to go to work for the city of Madison. And that's something that we're going to try to see and work on and keeping them here. So again, long story on orderings, but I'm getting at why we do it. Oh, another benefit of working the 10.5 hour hybrid shift is it also reduces overtime. So you still get staffing levels, you still have officers that are covering, but you're not getting those larger hours of overtime that you would get from a straight 8-hour shift.
So Chief, forgive me, because I think we've covered this, but just so I'm clear now, is the need for an order in because we only have minimum level of staffing and we need to order someone in order to meet that minimum level of staffing for patrol?
That's correct.
And minimum staffing for patrol in Fitchburg is 4 patrol out in the city, correct?
Correct.
So there are 43 shifts in the month of January of 2022 where we had minimum number of patrol out on the streets. That's
That's
would that
correct.
be fair? Okay. And I thought of this the other day. I was driving down, I don't know, somewhere near McKee Road, and I saw 4 patrol cars had pulled over a vehicle, and I thought to myself, I wonder if we're on a minimum staffing shift, because that means in the entire city of Fitchburg, there was one street that was covered with patrol, and the other part of the city was not covered at all. And that to me is why, the order-ins matter from a public policy perspective, but for our perspective, and I'm guessing Commissioner Amble talked about this too, for the health and welfare of our police officers, which is directly tied, I think, to retention and recruitment and hiring, which is our role as a commission, that has an impact. So I still think the number of order-ins that we have as a city is not a good thing, and it would be good to get to a point where we're not in a position to order any of the patrol in. And I fully understand that's a function of the 9 positions, I think it was this month, that are unfilled, including the 5 who are in field training, the 2 who are at academy, and the 2 that will be filling.
Correct.
So that's kind of my background. We didn't have a chance to kind of talk on it individually, and I'm glad Commissioner Amble did, because I think it is an important issue, and appreciate the update and the background and context. That's helpful.
And if I can add on this piece, not to, and maybe this is not the right venue to discuss it, but even as the city grows, at what point do you grow the police department, the staffing, for every agency within the city of Fitchburg? And I've been looking at other cities, their growth, and what is the bubble where you see, and I'm noticing that when you start getting to a city the size of 40,000, that the cities have gone from sworn, like where we're at 54 sworn, 60 sworn, to over 74 sworn. So there's that huge jump in that bubble of 40,000 residents that you see the sworn in these cities change. City of, just off the top of my head, when you're looking at cities like Brookfield, New Berlin, let's see, what are some of the other ones even closer over on this side? You see, and they're only at 36,000 is Beloit. There's, and I'll have a list, but there's several cities where you get at that 40 and you see that huge spike. And we can always say, well, it's closer to the city of Milwaukee, there's higher crime. Well, it's also occurring here in the city of in the county of Dane County. And you also have to consider things that, that flow over from the city of Madison. So those are things that I'm going to be discussing with you as we move forward when we look at staffing levels, staffing plan. And I'll also try to do one-on-ones with the council to start, giving them the piece on where the expansion goes. And it's not always at the front line levels. It's going to be in management and supervision, because as the department grows, and civilian staff, because as the department grows, there will be areas there where you need to start filling those pieces for risk management. We're currently at 32,000 in the city of Fitchburg, with the annexation of the town of Madison, which is another 1,300 residents. And if we have that gradual growth, which we've been having since 2016, an average of about 950 to over 1,000 residents a year in growth, you can do the numbers, and if we continue to grow at that rate, at the end of this year, we should be somewhere around 34,000. And if you have a 5-year plan 5 to 10-year plan, we will be at 40,000 with that continued growth.
I have a comment at some point.
Yes, ma'am?
For the chief, since you're gonna be educating the community regarding this issue, which seems to come up all the time, there's a lot of misconceptions out in the community about the number of police officers available at any given time. And of course, we all would like to see a police officer in our street at every given time. So as part of what you're gonna be doing to educate the community would be to, I would hope, to have people understand what officers actually do on any particular shift, how many of them are, what happens when there's a call and they're busy on another call or more serious call. When they get a homicide call, usually that wipes out all the entire shift and you have to order in people. So this is not something that any department would be able to eliminate, and I just want to make sure that people understand and have a clear expectations as to what police departments can do regarding this particular issue.
Absolutely.
I guess I would just add to that too, that just as you did with the city and the growth, is that sort of 40,000 as some sort of bubble number where, you know, the number of sworn and non-sworn police staff increase. The amount, there's also averages in regards to how many police per thousand, and those can be spread out, and I think that would be highly educational for people.
Right.
Because if you do comparables between cities, it's less about sort of what we need here and more about sort of, you know, like how we compare to other metropolitan areas essentially that are in our same, you know, amount of folks, so.
Right. Absolutely.
I'll chime in. Thank you, Chief, for that update. I really appreciate that. I think this is great that we're just even having this conversation, just because of the growth that's coming to Fitchburg. So thank you for digging into it and looking into it. And I know we won't eliminate this, but I think this will help with the mental health, with the retention, with recruitment efforts, with financials of the city as well. So please keep us updated, and if there's anything we can do, please let us know.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, any more questions about the policing report, staffing report?
I have one.
Yes.
Chief, thanks again for the data. Just a quick question. So this is, I think this is a good metric, as everyone, as the other commissioners have stated. One thing I'm curious about, so I think the year-over-year view is very good, but there's a possible, could we add another metric, and that is the trend. So is it possible we could look at this data month after month?
The trend as far as the city growth or?
No, I'm sorry, around the order ends.
Orderance, okay, got it.
All right, thanks. Next up is closed session. Who would like to take us into closed session?
Okay, I'll do it. Pursuant to section 19.85, paren 1, paren C of the Wisconsin statutes, the commission will move into closed session for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more specifically to make a hiring recommendation for police lieutenant.
All in favor of moving into closed session, raise your hand, say aye.
I'll second it.
Aye.
So, yes, pardon me, we should second first, yes. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
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 Nice catch. Thank you. All right, welcome back. Coming back into open session. Do we have any motions to make?
I'll make a motion that the Police and Fire Commission move to accept the recommendation made by Chief Morales to promote Officer Lisa Heitman to to lieutenant for the city of Fitchburg Police Department.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, very good. All in favor of the motion on the floor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
I'm sorry, what happened?
Rosa, everybody got very excited. No, we just stood up and congratulated Lisa. Do we have another motion on the floor?
I will move to create an open eligibility list of the same candidates that will expire 1 year from today.
Very good. Do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
Second by Rosa, thank you. All in favor of the motion on the floor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 All right, very good. And thank you for the lively discussion. Next up is report from the fire department.
Staffing report, going to go through, sure, I had it all laid out until you guys came back to open session. So now let me get back to my notes here.
I got it up here too, Chief.
Yeah, but this just points to my lack of preparation, so I apologize.
Take your time.
Here it is. So calls for service, everything is sort of laid out, giving you an idea of where we're at for the year so far. From a staffing perspective, it's online with what we had identified last month. Obviously, we have vacancies that's consistent with what we see from a paid on call, paid on premises standpoint and the vacancies that exist. Giving you some indication of how we're addressing some of those vacancies. We do have an intern process that we are in the middle of. This is old business from the minutes. We just had the interviews for our paid on premises, paid on call, the POX firefighter. That is going to move forward with the top candidates along with ride-alongs, background investigations and those types of things, and we'll be able to present to you our recommendations for that coming at the next PFC meeting. We've initiated the lieutenant promotion process, and we'll be talking a little bit about the career firefighter process here in a little bit. To give you an idea of what we did last year for mandates, we had 23 mandates that accounted for 304 hours. That doesn't account for all of the other overtime. I tried to get you those numbers, and the program that we use, the Paylocity program that we use for overtime, I was having operator issues with, and I am working with finance to come up with a better way to run those reports a little bit more automatically. We've already had 2 mandates this year in January and February, so gives you an idea of some of the staffing requirements, and that's likely to go up with the resignation that we just received of one of our career members. I'll explain that in closed session first, and then we can discuss that a little bit more as you see fit. Gives you the staffing report also gives you a little bit of an idea of where we're at timeline-wise with the paid on call, paid on premises process, and as you can see, hopefully March 2022 we'll be looking for approval of recommendations. I'll pause there in the case that you have any questions, and then I can address the next agenda item, which I believe is closed session.
Oh, it's the career firefighter.
Oh, career firefighter, sorry.
On the staffing report from the fire department. All right, hearing none. Next item up is, and thank you, Chief.
Yeah, no problem.
Next item up is the request for authorization to begin a career firefighter recruitment.
So I believe that's the final page on your packet. Initially, we were going to be asking for one firefighter. We have received resignation from a career firefighter, so we'll be asking for 2 positions. We hope to post starting next week, February 21st. We'll keep that open for a month. This will be internal and external candidates. So we'll likely receive quite a few applications from our paid on call, paid on premises firefighters, but we'll also leave it open for talent outside of our organization. And that's important for us right now from a diversity standpoint, just looking at how we might be able to engage the community that doesn't necessarily doesn't necessarily participate in our membership right now. Step 2 of that process is going to be the redaction of names from HR so that we can review the application packets. During the week of the 28th, we will be reviewing those applications and then inviting the top candidates to the interviews the week of April 11th. I'll also have chiefs interviews at or around that same time. And then typically, especially with those candidates that don't belong to the Fitchburg Fire Department, we encourage them to participate in ride-alongs. And the reason why we do that is to give them a better sense of what they're involving themselves in and give them the opportunity to ask questions of our current employees, but it allows us to extend their interview a little bit. Whereas our paid on call, our paid on premises firefighters, we already have an idea of what their work ethic is like. It's safe to say that an external candidate, we're not going to get a really good impression on the type of character they have in a 30-minute interview. So typically our ride-alongs are about 4 hours or more and gives them an opportunity to actually sit with our crews, eat with our crews, and respond with our crews. And it's typically a really good, it gives us a better impression of the candidate that we're interviewing. And then come April, we'll be making our recommendations to the Police and Fire Commission and then offering the conditional offer. Once we have conditional offer, we'll be able to require the medical and the drug screening along with any other assessment that would be required at that point.
Questions from commissioners on the process?
Chief, do the candidates understand that the ride-along will produce information that is used in the hiring process?
Yeah, actually, it's one thing that I introduced to them, especially in my interview. I talked to them about our core values, our mission, and our vision, and the importance of selecting the right people, and why we ask them to participate at those levels is to get a better indication of what they bring to the table. It also gives them an opportunity to sell themselves. I mean, there's a couple of different things that I do during the interview process, one of which is allows them to close the interview. So anything that we haven't asked, they have the ability to share. And then the second thing is to have this ride-along where they are able to actually engage with our firefighters for a longer period of time. And typically, we learn more about those that we haven't necessarily associated with in the past, based on the fact that there's better conversations that can happen sort of at that granular level.
All right, other questions?
I will move to approve the authorization to begin a career firefighter recruitment process as proposed by the chief.
I have one quick question, sorry. I had one. When I nodded at you, I thought maybe I had one. So as a part of this, this was going to be for one. And because of what we're going to discuss in closed session, that's going to be two, or that's what you're asking for at this point, right?
Correct. We have 2 vacancies. One is a new position, and one was an existing position that is now vacant.
Okay.
And the other thing that may impact this, which is not necessarily known at this time, but hopefully with our timeline, it shouldn't matter. We are in the middle of the collective bargaining for our union. And one of the things that I want to make sure that whatever position we are offering is consistent with that work environment. So it's important to make sure that whatever we're presenting to them, they have realistic expectation as far as what is going to be required of them as a member of our department.
Understood, thanks. Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
I'll move to
Second the mo-
approve.
So,
Rosa, do you have a question?
no, I second the motion that,
Very good. So we're moving to approve the list, and we have a second. So all in favor of doing so, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Very good. All right. Next up is closed session. Can somebody take us into closed session, please?
okay, my last time. Pursuant to section 19.85, paren 1, paren C of the Wisconsin statutes, the commission will move into closed session for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more specifically to notice the commission of the resignation of a career firefighter.
All in favor of moving into second?
Second?
Thank you. All in favor of moving into closed session, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All right, closed session, please. I think we're live. All right, welcome back into open session. One motion coming out of, closed session. One item coming out of closed session, I would like to make a motion to acknowledge the resignation of a career firefighter from the fire department. Second on the motion? Second, very good. I don't know that it's just an acknowledgement, so I don't think we need to vote on that.
Nay.
Yes, go ahead.
No, I'm just voting against. I want him
Yeah,
to stay.
I don't think anybody wanted him to leave. Okay, next up is announcements. Chief, you have something?
Yes, I just want to make an announcement that I value promotions. This is going to be the first promotion I'm making here at Fitchburg as the chief of police. On this Friday at 9:30 p.m., we'll have a formal promotion ceremony for Lisa Heitman. It would include some words by myself. She will be taking an oath in her position, so she'll be sworn in by our clerk's office, Tracy Ohlenberger. And then she will be asked to also say some words to whoever attends. She's going to be inviting close friends and family. It's going to be open to the City Hall, and I also open that invitation to yourselves if you can attend. We will be promoting that through our social media, and I just spoke to Jeremy, so maybe we can get something through Fact TV as well.
Okay. Just to be clear, that's Friday 2/18 at 9:30 a.m.?
That's correct.
Okay.
In the chambers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, very good. Any additional announcements? All right, hearing none. The adjournment. So all in favor of closing out the session, raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you much.